Hey, I'm Katerina, and I want to talk a little bit today about why alignment and mobility matter. So let's take them one at a time. Alignment is the like way our joints and bones line up with each other. And to compare it, we're going to talk about the alignment of a car. So most of us that own cars know that you need your wheels to be properly aligned in order to avoid um, issues with your tires and all of the parts that connect to them. Um, so imagine if you had a car and you could visibly see that one wheel, which obviously this is a Hot Wheels car, so it's not going to do too much moving. But if you could see that one wheel was good, it was going straight, and then this one was out at a 20-degree angle. So you could still drive the car forward, even though this wheel is moved out 20 degrees. But what's going to happen? That tire is going to wear out faster than the other three tires, and there may be other damage, like further up to other parts that connect to it that I don't know all the names for them. So, in a similar way, our alignment matters. It's not that this wheel should never turn to the right 20 degrees. We need it to do that when we're going around a curve, and even more than 20 degrees when we're making a right turn. But if it's always to the right 20 degrees, whether you're going forward or trying to turn left or doing anything else, then you're going to have problems. So it's similar with our bodies. It's not that any certain, well, I guess I shouldn't say any, because obviously there are movements that are generally bad. You will feel pain because you hurt yourself, but it's not that certain movements are just wrong. Like, it's not like it's wrong to ever bring your shoulders up, but if your whole life is with your shoulders tensed, then there are going to be repercussions because that's not the proper alignment for the joints and muscles that are around your shoulders. Same with your feet. If your whole life is with your feet turned out slightly, or one foot straight and the other turned out or turned in, it's not that it's wrong to ever stand or walk with our feet at different angles. But if that's the standard, if that's the daily use, then you'll see repercussions that come because of that. And sometimes those repercussions get chalked up to old age, right? So, going back to the example with the feet, things that are going on with our feet, or things that are not being done with our feet, can lead to other problems in other joints, because our feet are the foundation. So it can lead to knee problems or hip problems or back problems. And then, a lot of times our body is able to kind of mask those issues for a long time until all of a sudden, quote unquote, somebody is in their 60s or 70s or 80s and they need a knee replacement. Well, often people don't need a double knee replacement. It happens sometimes, but a lot of the times it's one side or the other. So if it was just old age, wouldn't it be that both knees wore out in the same way every single time? But that's not what happens. So we have some influence over how our bodies continue to function over even decades of time. The earlier you start, the better it'll be for you. And the farther along you are, the more time it might take. There's no if you start at 35, it'll take this amount of time to get you back to proper alignment. There's so many factors. There's not okay, this is the dose and this is the amount of time you'll get there. But the earlier you start, the better off you'll be. And the farther along you are, you might expect that it may take some time. If you've been walking a certain way or moving a certain way for 3, 4, 5, 6 decades, it's not something that most people will realistically expect to see fully resolve in a month, for example. So really, alignment is kind of like how everything is stacked up, like how it's positioned, and then and how we are able to return to position, right, and to go to neutral. Just like when you are driving, you want to be able to turn right and turn left, but then when you go straight, you want everything to return to alignment. And the mobility side has to do with movement and what you are able to move. mobility is so interesting to me because our mobility is like a use it or lose it type deal, but it also does so much more than allowing us, like having good mobility does more than allow you to continue to move, although that's one of the things that it does. But it also has an impact on things like circulation, because if you have, for example, let's use the feet again. If you have really poor mobility in the feet, that means that the muscles in your feet are not being moved and worked. And because those muscles aren't being moved and worked, they're not asking for blood flow, right? When a muscle moves, when a muscle contracts and relaxes and is used, then it sends a signal to the body like, I need blood flow because I am active. When that doesn't happen for a long time, then those muscles suffer. You know, they can atrophy, they can get really stiff and tense. And so that has, you know, effects on our circulation. And it puts a heavier load on the heart, because if the muscles are not, the muscles can pull just and work along with the heart as it pushes. So that's one reason why mobility is important. And for our joints, mobility is extremely important because they don't have the same type of like pumping fluid through system that our circulatory system has. They rely on movement to help stay lubricated. And this can relate back again to a car. You know, the motor, I don't know so much about cars, but these are like good examples, and it's nice to have a little prop. So the motor of a car needs oil for everything to go smoothly. And if you leave a car just abandoned for a long time and then go to run it, that oil has become like mucky and sticky, and you could have some problems with the engine. So like, even though you could say, oh, you need an oil change every 3,000 miles, if you've left a car sitting for a long time, people who are really cautious with their cars will change the oil because it is potentially not going to lubricate the engine well, even though it hasn't driven for 3,000 miles yet. So just the same way that the movement of the engine lets you go for a longer amount of mileage between oil changes, our movement helps our body to function better for longer. So that's kind of part of the why. I mean, there's a lot more that can be said. There are books that have been written on these topics, but it's part of what can be said about why we need to pay attention to alignment and mobility. These things, you know, especially in your teens and 20s, may not be things that you think about, but it's really common nowadays, or I guess I should say becoming more and more common, to hear people say like, oh yeah, I've hit 30, I'm starting to have aches and pains, my shoulder, whatever. And it's like, well, 30 is really young still to start having aches and pains and just chalk them up to age. There are likely other factors at play there, and movement is a huge one. That it's not just about moving more, although in our culture we do all need to move more, but it's also about moving better and moving with intention to help activate parts of the body that our culture and our common activities don't activate or mobilize. So I wanted to give that explanation this week, and moving forward, I'll be doing live alignment and mobility classes. Check out the description for more information on that. And I hope this helped to understand why having a movement practice that brings attention to your mobility is so important, something that you do daily even. And if you'd like some guidance along the way, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell. If I end up putting this anywhere else, my YouTube is at A Better Health Journey. And I'll be putting information out there, and the live classes will take you through routine. Sometimes they'll be 30 minutes. Eventually, or right now they'll be 30 minutes. Eventually I may do hour-long classes as well. But just something to stay aware of, and take a second to move at the end of this video. Reach up, whatever your body allows you to do, a motion that maybe is not so common as part of your life. I say reach up because doing things overhead and doing different movements, like reaching a bit behind you with your shoulder, those are things that we don't often have to do. So if you want to just do one small thing to help out your body, that can be one. And if you reach back with this arm, reach back with this arm too. Thanks for watching. Bye.